Yeah.
Do you think that even again, and looking at what is happening right now as well, doesn't make nonsense of planning and strategizing? Because, I mean, one can talk about even still trying to bring it home, and not the external environment, even the local currency. We'll be looking more detailed into that one. Today is this, tomorrow is that. And even now, even though we've got a staff level agreement, some are still saying that you still don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And opening an environment where there's so much uncertainty.
I think businesses.
Do you really have to plan?
I think businesses shouldn't behave like that. They will be behaving like governments if they behave like that. I don't think a business plan should depend on so much only of the external environment. A typical strategy or business plan will do either a SWOT analysis or you may do a PESTEL. So let's assume that you did your strengths and weaknesses and you did it before this happened. If you are somebody who actually also looked at the opportunities and threats, by last year, you should have known by now that there were enough threats in the system coming from the external environment. I had occasion to address a group of businessmen in January last year, 2022. And one of the questions that I was asked during the question time, and I was talking about strategy anyway, and then one of the questions I was asked is whether I envisage that we will go to IMF. It was at that time that the minister said we won't go to IMF. And my answer was that I would be surprised if we were not at IMF by October. I was very certain in my mind that we would be at IMF. I mean, the reason is very simple. The science is a cycle, and a good business strategist should always be watching the cycle. The cycle that we were going to go to IMF was so clear. So I don't know what was the alternative that made the government say we won't go to IMF. So for those for whom I help is strategy, I did not just recommend planning that there will be austerity for IMF. I predicted that we will go. But you also have to drill down to realize that the IMF has changed its approach. It is not so much of austere policies imposed on you, but homegrown policies that you have to come with. So these things affected it. So my point is, you don't have to abandon your plan or your implementation just because these things are happening. You rather adjust it. And indeed, it is what is happening, which is the more reason why you should actually be following your plan.